The rise of Xi Jinping as the paramount leader of China represents a significant turning point in the modern history of the world's most populous nation. From succeeding Hu Jintao in 2012 to the present day, Xi has ushered China into what he calls a new era, marked by large-scale anti-corruption campaigns, a bold assertion of China's role in global affairs, and an unprecedented centralization of power not witnessed since the days of Mao Zedong. Chinese domestic sources, such as People's Daily, Xinhua News Agency, and other state-run media, portray Xi as a visionary leader, eager to accelerate China's economic modernization, alleviate poverty, and strengthen the Communist Party of China. In contrast, many international analyses from outlets such as the BBC, Reuters, The Economist, and Foreign Affairs emphasize Xi's concentration of power, his ideological controls, and a more assertive stance on sensitive regions like Xinjiang, Tibet, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. This analysis delves into Xi's political trajectory, the historical and political context behind his ascent, his signature policies, and the resultant domestic and global responses. By exploring the origins, motivations, and strategies of China's contemporary leader, we gain a holistic and logical view of Xi Jinping's remarkable rise to power. Xi Jinping was born on June 15, 1953 in Beijing, into a family deeply rooted in China's revolutionary history. His father, Xi Zhongxun, was a veteran revolutionary leader who held prominent positions in the Communist Party. This red aristocracy lineage, often referred to as a princeling or part of the second-generation Reds, gave Xi early exposure to elite politics, and connected him to influential networks within the party. However, Xi's youth was not free of hardship. During the Cultural Revolution, Xi's family came under scrutiny, and his father faced political persecution. Young Xi himself was sent to a rural village in Shanxi province at the age of 15. According to Chinese state media, these harsh years of manual labor and rural life imbued Xi with a deeper understanding of ordinary people's hardships, as well as adaptability in tough circumstances. Xi would later highlight these experiences frequently, framing himself as not only a princeling but also someone who had endured and empathized with grassroots struggles. After the Cultural Revolution subsided, Xi returned to Beijing and enrolled at Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious institutions, where he studied chemical engineering. He later supplemented his education with coursework in Marxist theory and party doctrine. This blend of revolutionary pedigree, first-hand rural experiences, and top-tier academic credentials set the stage for Xi's subsequent political career. Notably, his entry into politics coincided with the transformative era of Deng Xiaoping's reform and opening policy, which offered younger party officials opportunities to advance amid sweeping economic and social changes. While Xi, at the time, did not attract the international spotlight to the same degree as reformist leaders like Zhao Xiang or Hu Yaobang, he discreetly built a reputation as a diligent technocrat and reliable party cadre. After graduating, Xi Jinping began his political career at the grassroots level, holding various positions in Hebei province before being transferred to Fujian in 1985. He spent a lengthy period in Fujian, which allowed him to establish a reputation for competent governance and steadfastness. One of Xi's main tasks was attracting investment from overseas Chinese communities, especially those in Taiwan. This aligned with the broader Special Economic Zones policy, fostering rapid development in cities like Xiamen. During this period, Xi learned how to manage local government structures and cultivate relationships with business communities, critical for any successful Chinese provincial official. Between 1999 and 2002, Fujian was embroiled in corruption scandals, most notably the Yuanhua Group smuggling case in Xiamen. While Xi's position at the time did not allow him to lead a complete crackdown on such large-scale wrongdoing, he did strengthen local disciplinary efforts and coordinated closely with Party Central. This contributed to his image as a leader who maintained a firm stance against corruption. In November 2012, the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party marked a key generational handover from the fourth-generation leadership under Hu Jintao to the fifth generation under Xi Jinping. Several factors converged to make Xi Jinping the chosen successor. 1. His father's stature as a top revolutionary figure helped Xi win favor among party elders. 2. From Fujian and Zhejiang to Shanghai, Xi had proven himself in economically vital regions. 3. The CPC is known for its internal balancing act among various factions. Xi's persona suited the need for a relatively neutral figure who could maintain unity and stability. In the lead-up to the 18th Party Congress, the CPC faced multiple challenges, most notably the Bo Xilai scandal. Bo, a rising Politburo member and party secretary of Chongqing, found himself at the center of a major corruption and political storm. This episode exposed deep divisions within the party over whether China should continue with reformist strategies or return to a Maoist-style populism. As a more centrist figure, Xi Jinping used this moment to highlight the importance of strict party discipline, thereby consolidating his own authority. Upon officially assuming the role of General Secretary, Xi faced daunting tasks: slowing economic growth, widening wealth gaps, rising public dissatisfaction with corruption, and external pressures such as trade competition with the United States. Responding swiftly, Xi introduced major campaigns and laid out grand visions to bolster his leadership standing and shape the country's trajectory. One of Xi Jinping's earliest and most defining initiatives was the massive anti-corruption drive, often referred to by the slogan "hitting tigers and flies." This campaign sought to punish both high-level officials, the tigers, and lower-level cadres, the flies, to restore public confidence in the party. Unlike previous anti-graft efforts, Xi's campaign exhibited a willingness to investigate and prosecute officials at nearly every echelon of power. A range of high-profile figures fell, including Politburo members, military leaders, and top executives in the state security apparatus. Among those toppled were Zhou Yongkang, a former Politburo Standing Committee member, Ling Jihua, a former Chief of Staff in the Central Committee, and Guo Boxiong, a former Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission. These arrests signaled that Xi, newly in power, would spare no one, even the most influential and seemingly untouchable elites. In October 2017 at the 19th CPC National Congress, Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era was enshrined in the party constitution, on par with Mao Zedong thought and Deng Xiaoping theory. This was an extraordinary elevation of Xi's ideological status, unprecedented in the post-Mao era. Key tenets of Xi Jinping thought include comprehensive party leadership, where the Communist Party must exert control over all aspects of Chinese society, economy, politics, culture, and more. China's peaceful rise, which emphasizes that China should reclaim its rightful place on the international stage as a leading economic, scientific, and cultural power. And the central role of the top leader, positioning Xi as the core of the party, inseparably linked to China's grand rejuvenation. Upon taking office as president in 2013, Xi introduced the slogan, "Chinese Dream." Officially, it refers to the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, an expression of modern nationalist sentiment fused with the goal of building a moderately prosperous society by 2021, the 100th anniversary of the CPC, and becoming a fully developed, rich and powerful socialist country by 2049, the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. The Chinese Dream Initiative encompasses several areas: economic, focusing on sustaining growth, increasing per capita income, and eradicating extreme poverty; military, modernizing the armed forces to safeguard national interests; cultural, revitalizing Confucian traditions and socialist values; and geopolitical, boosting China's influence and presenting a win-win model of global cooperation, which arguably expands Beijing's clout worldwide. Far from merely a political slogan, the Chinese Dream guides numerous policy directions. It enhances Xi's image as a leader with a grand, overarching vision for the nation's future. In 2013, Xi Jinping unveiled the Belt and Road Initiative, encompassing the Silk Road economic belt by land and the 21st century maritime Silk Road by sea. This ambitious infrastructure and economic development project extends across Asia, Europe, Africa, and reaches even Latin America, aiming to promote connectivity through transportation links, trade, and cultural exchanges. However, critics often view the BRI as a strategic vehicle for expanding China's global influence, especially a concern for Washington and its allies. In March 2018, China's National People's Congress approved an amendment to the Constitution that removed the two-term limit on the presidency. This change effectively allows Xi Jinping, already General Secretary of the CPC and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, to continue as president without a fixed term limit. Chinese state media praised the move, arguing that strong long-term leadership is needed to realize the Chinese dream. Nonetheless, there were muted concerns within certain intellectual circles about a return to a Mao-style life tenure. Western governments and analysts criticized the revision as a regression from modern governance norms, effectively cementing one-man rule. As early as 2016, Xi Jinping was declared the core leader of the CPC, a title reserved for figures like Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, and Jiang Zemin. Following the 2018 constitutional changes and further measures to tighten control over media, social networks and businesses, Xi emerged as the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao. To preserve and expand his authority, Xi's administration has intensified censorship and social control, evident in campaigns such as the Qinglang cleanup campaign, a crackdown on online content considered unhealthy or counter-revolutionary. Authorities have introduced strict guidelines for celebrity behavior, fan culture, and cultural productions, emphasizing compliance with core socialist values. Corporate behemoths like Alibaba and Tencent have faced heavy scrutiny, underlining the state's intent to prevent the emergence of any power centers autonomous from the party. These moves reflect Xi's principle that everything must remain under the party's leadership. He has successfully built a governance model hinging on centralized power and ironclad discipline, positioning himself at the pinnacle of China's political order. During Xi's tenure, China has continued to report significant economic achievements, such as large-scale poverty alleviation, sweeping infrastructure projects, and rapid technological advancements like 5G and AI. Political stability remains robust, reinforced by stringent social controls. However, the clampdown on dissenting voices, civil society organizations, and ordinary citizens has intensified, facilitated by the social credit system. In Xinjiang, numerous international reports accuse the government of implementing draconian surveillance measures and interning Uyghurs in re-education camps. The Chinese government defends these policies as legitimate means of countering terrorism and extremism. Through state propaganda outlets, Xi's image has been elevated to an almost mythic status, portrayed as a historic figure guiding China to national rejuvenation. The education system and cultural institutions have aligned more strictly with Xi Jinping thought, emphasizing the new era under unyielding party leadership. Under Xi, Sino-US relations have deteriorated significantly, particularly during Donald Trump's presidency from 2017 to 2021, which saw a trade war and reciprocal sanctions. The subsequent administration under Joe Biden has not substantially eased strategic tensions. Competition over advanced technology and geopolitics remains fierce. China has been expanding its presence in the South China Sea, constructing artificial islands and conducting regular patrols around disputed maritime areas. Southeast Asian neighbors, including Vietnam and the Philippines, have raised objections, but Beijing persists with a fait accompli strategy. The imposition of the national security law on Hong Kong in 2020 triggered widespread condemnation in the West, which saw it as a violation of the one country, two systems principle. On Taiwan, Xi has repeatedly asserted the necessity of reunification, reserving the option of military action if necessary. These positions have raised concerns about a future flashpoint in the Taiwan Strait. Under Xi, China and Russia have drawn closer, particularly as both face growing pressure from the US and Europe. Economic ties include energy and infrastructure projects, while military cooperation has ramped up through joint exercises. Nevertheless, observers note underlying asymmetries and potential strains, with China's economy far outpacing Russia's. From a Western perspective, Xi Jinping embodies a China that is more assertive in challenging the US-dominated international order. Meanwhile, many developing nations consider China a counterbalance to Western influence and a viable source of investments and partnerships. Xi Jinping's meteoric ascent is rooted not only in the complex internal dynamics of the Chinese Communist Party, but also in the broader global transformations of the last decade. As a Red Princeling from a revolutionary lineage, Xi benefited from a strong political inheritance and key connections. His extensive local-level leadership experiences, cautious but firm management style, and personal discipline allowed him to navigate factional balances. Eventually, he rose rapidly through the party ranks to become China's supreme leader within a relatively short span. Since 2012, Xi's leadership style has been characterized by assertiveness, decisiveness, and the accrual of unprecedented power around his person. He has launched a far-reaching anti-corruption campaign, amended the constitution to prolong his presidency, promoted ambitious projects like the Belt and Road Initiative, and stirred nationalist fervor with the notion of the Chinese dream. In doing so, Xi has boosted China's global stature, but he has also attracted significant criticism from the West and heightened concerns among regional neighbors. Xi's historical legacy will depend on China's long-term economic performance, social cohesion, and foreign relations. If he succeeds in guiding China across the middle-income trap, fostering high-tech breakthroughs, and addressing mounting challenges such as an aging population, wealth disparity, and environmental degradation, Xi's position will remain formidable. However, the consolidation of power also raises risks. Should China's economy stumble or a major policy fail, the lack of systemic checks and balances could unleash serious internal instability. Internationally, Xi will need to navigate an increasingly tense relationship with the United States, particularly concerning trade, technology, and regional influence. Will China continue to assertively expand its global footprint, or seek compromises to avert a potential superpower showdown? The answer remains uncertain. What is clear is that Xi Jinping has reshaped power structures within China and cast a long shadow over the global order. In essence, the rise of Xi Jinping is not just a personal narrative but part of a wider historical arc. A resurgent China, riding the wave of decades of economic growth, now pursues ambitions that are as grand as they are fraught with peril. Mao Zedong established the People's Republic, Deng Xiaoping opened China's doors to the world, and Xi Jinping aims to steer China to great power status, an unprecedented vision accompanied by equally unprecedented risks. His leadership of 1.4 billion people will undoubtedly influence not only China's destiny, but also the international system for many years if not decades to come.